Chapter 2. Embracing the unknown, facing the saboteurs. Exhaustion, control, and speed. Walking with a mirror. Day number 5, Pamplona, Siraki, 27 kilometers. What happens when we stop walking alone and allow someone to hold up the mirror? In Pamplona, on my day of rest, I walked to the bus station to meet my good friend Peter. When I first shared my plans to walk the Camino, he had been one of the first, and the only one, to say, "If you're open to walking a few days together, I'd love to join you." True to his word, he booked the flight and the bus, and we met in Pamplona, ready to walk together for a week towards Burgos. The next morning we set off, enjoying each other's company. We had been friends since university, roommates, and shared a long history. Peter didn't just join me for a few days on the Camino, he held up a mirror I hadn't dared to face. On the stretch between Pamplona and Burgos, something subtle and profound happened. Peter noticed it before I did. Where I once charged ahead with energy and plans, I was now stopping to admire a flower by the path. Noticing the light shifting through the trees, my radar was wide open. I was walking slower, not just with my feet, though with my spirit. Peter later told me, "You weren't in your usual mode. It was like you were practicing mindfulness as a survival strategy, like something had cracked open." And I think he was right. I had come to the Camino after years of high-functioning, high-speed corporate leadership. Somewhere along the way, especially in those last years as a controller and CFO, I had stopped listening. I was so used to saying yes, to powering through, to trusting that I could handle anything, that I ignored any sign of exhaustion. Peter was the one who had dared to say it aloud. "Martin, I saw you at the rock bottom. I was very worried. You weren't even listening anymore. You were in some way just gone." Hearing that was hard, and it was the truth. My optimism had become a mask. My ability to handle it all had become my saboteur, my perfectionist. Looking into this mirror was painful. What if someone held the mirror up for you? What would you see? It was a space where I allowed myself to feel again, to let old identities fall apart, to admit that the controller in me had tried to protect me at the price of locking me in. Peter had challenged me several times before. Why did you choose to become a controller in the first place? Letting go of the controller. The Camino humbled me. I had arrived with a plan, a route, a guidebook, and 3 apps loaded on my iPhone. I wanted certainty. The trail had other ideas. Hostels filled up, sleep evaded me. My body ached. The more I tried to control the experience, the less joy I found in it. Slowly I began to enjoy the experiment, not booking a bed, trusting the path, and walking into the unknown. At first it brought anxiety. Then unexpectedly it brought peace. Control had been my strategy for safety, and it also kept me from truly being present. Each day, waking before sunrise and walking west, I watched my shadow stretch long in front of me, step by step. I was quite literally chasing my shadow. I came to realize that the Camino wasn't just a trail through Spain. It was a path inward. Every step invited me to confront what I had long avoided, the shadows I had pushed aside in my race to succeed. Letting go of control didn't mean losing the structure. It meant loosening the grip, trusting more, listening more, walking not to achieve, though to arrive. What if real transformation isn't about changing who we are, but softening the grip of who we thought we had to be? Entrepreneurs at the speed of trust. Day number 6, Siraki, Luca, 24 kilometers. One of Peter's and my favorite topics was always exchanging business ideas. Naturally, as we walked the Camino together, conversations turned to entrepreneurship. The Camino itself offered living examples, simple human-scale ventures that revealed something deeper about how trust and service can shape a business. I remember a small town where a teenage girl had set up a lemonade stand in front of her family's home. Homemade lemonade, offered on a donation basis. No pressure, pure presence. You see this often on the Camino. Pilgrims pausing at humble setups, a thermos of coffee from the back of a car, a basket of fruit in a box alongside the path, a food truck with a few snacks, or a fridge besides a handwritten sign that says Donativo. These weren't ambitious startups chasing scale or clicks. These were acts of quiet service, born from trust. No pitch, no urgency, pure knowing. If I show up with sincerity, the right people will arrive. And they did. Hundreds of pilgrims pass each day. Right when the body aches or the spirit needs a lift, there it is. A rest point, a refreshment, a smile. No storefront, just a soul behind the table. It reminded me of what I've come to embrace in my coaching practice. The best growth doesn't come from forcing. It comes from serving with integrity, again and again and again, until the trust compounds. It takes patience and service to build a business this way. All the successful coaches I met along my journey focused on building their business through referrals, through a simple phrase. You might want to talk to Martin. Clients don't push, they share, like pilgrims swapping notes on the best hostels, best cafes, and secret spiritual spots. I do the same. When I know someone else is better suited for a client-specific need, be it therapeutic, financial, or legal, I offer a warm, committed introduction. Not from ego, not commission, pure aligned service. I recall one client who had recently exited a C-level role with a substantial payout, ready to hand nearly half over of it to the tax office, unaware there might be another way. Years ago, I had stood at the same threshold, not knowing. Over time, I built a network of trusted advisors. With one well-placed introduction, that client converted a liability into a long-term asset, building a six-figure portfolio from what would have been lost. That's not only smart finance, that's Kairos, the opportune moment. As with the Caminos, quiet entrepreneurs, the best work happens not when we chase, but when we attune. When we walk not at the speed of Chronos, cramming the calendar, but at the speed of trust and Kairos. The role of vulnerability. Day 7, Lucca, Viana, 22 kilometers. Interestingly, the Camino has a way of determining how long a journey lasts. On the third day, Peter developed blisters so severe that he had to discontinue his walk. What was meant to be a week together was shortened to 3 days. And yet those days remain some of the most special shared experience in our friendship. To this day, we look back on those few intense days on the Camino as a time of reconnection, laughter, deepened understanding. Proof that even a short pilgrimage can leave a lasting imprint. I invited you to explore further into the interview I conducted with him in the appendix. True friendship is determined by the courage to speak the inconvenient truth and the willingness to receive it. I was learning to give up control, not only of the destination, but also of the experience itself. This doesn't mean abandoning a responsibility or failing to plan. It meant allowing myself to step into the unknown with an open heart, trusting that the universe had its rhythm, and I was simply a part of it, that flow. The act of surrendering control was uncomfortable. It required a vulnerability I wasn't used to showing. For much of my life, I had been driven by the need to perform, to achieve, to get things done, to have control over every situation. Now, I was faced with the truth. My desperate need for control had created blind spots. I had closed myself off from the possibility of truly connecting with the world around me. Vulnerability plays a crucial role in this process. What I call a blind spot or vulnerability is an area of myself I haven't yet accepted. By sharing these aspects openly with other pilgrims or people in general, I become more approachable. People can relate to me better. There's an empathy that naturally emerges as we are social beings. When someone is vulnerable and shares their challenges, we instinctively form stronger connections. What struck me on the Camino was that most people undertake this journey with an inner calling, a question, a personal quest, the reason why they are walking. Some had lost a partner, experienced separation, or faced an illness. Often a deep, life-changing event had caused them to be vulnerable or to lose something they held dear. In my case, I had lost my job, my main source of income. This shared vulnerability opened up conversations along the way, with everyone speaking from their place of hurt or loss with compassion and acceptance. This represented a significant shift for me as I connected and engaged on a human-to-human level. There were no titles, no positions, those things dropped away. You truly see the other person and become fully present, sometimes by simply listening with presence, which is my key leverage as a coach. The other person can express what they really want to share. When we create calm and silence, people can feel what they want to share. In that silence, they can dive even deeper into the emotions they want to feel. Being free of judgment helps to be aware and accept destiny. This was a beautiful experience of the Camino, meeting so many people willing to share from an emotional state. In our normal world, everyone claims to be, "Oh, I'm fine, I'm okay, I'm good," holding up the facade of perfection. Not everyone is truly doing well, and few are willing to share at the level of vulnerability what they're really feeling, or what they're not allowing themselves to feel. It's all about energy, a daily momentum coaching tool. Day number 8, Viana, Navarrete, 22 kilometers. Walking the Camino taught me one essential truth. It's all about energy. Each day on the trail invites you to reconnect with your inner battery. You quickly realize what lifts you and what drains you. The weight of your backpack, the weather, the quality of your sleep, the silence or conversations around you, and the emotions you carry. Resentment, joy, trust, everything affects your energy. When your energy leaks, even a small hurdle feels like a struggle. When your energy flows, you walk with joy, with presence and clarity. You feel a strong sense of direction. This isn't only true on the Camino. It applies to leadership, business, and life. Let me share 3 energy coaching tools to help you build momentum in your daily energy. What if you consistently implement just one of them? Where in your life are you leaking energy emotionally, relationally, or virtually? Second tool. Coaching math creates 1% energy shift. Start with your energy. Take a sheet of paper and draw 4 quadrants. At the top, or the denominator, put on the left side the things that you want to start. You can put a plus. And what you want to do more often or multiply. Put a multiply. In the lower half, at the bottom, the denominator, you put the things you want to stop with a minus. And on the right side, what you want to do less of or divide. So you get 4 quadrants on the top left, start, plus, on the top right, multiply, more of, and on the bottom left, stop, and on the bottom right, less of, divide. Here are a few examples. Start, walking while doing one-on-one conversations. Book me time blocks in my calendar. Multiply, or more often, doing one-on-one coaching with my coach. Spend time with the ideal client. An example for stop doing, saying yes only to please, and stop projects that no longer excite me. An example from less often, divide, solve other people's problems. Screen time after dinner. I invite my clients to identify 2 to 3 items for each quadrant. Within 10 minutes, they have a tangible set of actions. Even if only one item is implemented over the next 30 days, the energy will improve by 1% or more. And that 1% matters. It compounds, it builds momentum, and it shifts identity. The real goal here is to reduce time spent on low energy or low value tasks and intentionally pick and choose and mix in activities that bring joy, energy, creativity, and flow. Try it. You will see even one little shift here, done consistently, creates momentum, plus 1% energy. As a bonus thought, you might want to revisit every 30 days and watch how your life recalibrates. Energy is not about time, it's about alignment. When you shift your energy, you shift your reality. The third energy tool, the energy scan, a leadership dashboard. The quick energy scan is designed for leaders and entrepreneurs, inspired by Stefan Mehrath's book, Dein Wille geschehe. We assess 3 simple metrics on a scale of 1 to 10. The metric are energy, alignment, and growth. For the metric energy, ask yourself the question, how alive and vital is the energy in your team or company right now? Sense into your energy on a scale of 1 to 10. The alignment metric, the question is, how aligned is everyone in creating value for your clients? You might want to ask your clients. Also here you have a scale of 1 to 10. The growth metric, what is the current growth trajectory, be it individually, for your team, or for the whole company? Here you can use a score of -10 to +10. How to use the metric. Use this scan of energy before coaching sessions, team offsites, or making big decisions for the company. Ask your team for their input as well. You might want to use the Net Promoter Score for customer alignment and compare perspectives, the inside and the outside. It helps to focus on the lowest score. This serves as your point of focus. This tool acts as a dashboard. If any number is off, you know where to direct the conversation. Any real solution in coaching will likely shift one or more of these scores. Try it and enjoy the progress. Creating space for growth. Day number 9, Navarrete, Asfora, 20 kilometers. In reflection, walking from Navarrete to Asfora was a typical day, if there was such a thing. It was the ideal, average pilgrim's day. On the Camino, the rhythm of walking, resting, and reflecting revealed something profound. True growth requires space. What started as a rhythm on the Camino transformed into a life rhythm as a coach. My ideal average day as a pilgrim. Each day on the Camino followed a rhythm that was both simple and sacred. I would wake up early, usually around 5:30 to 6 a.m., still dark outside, gathering my things quietly in the dark and stepping onto the trail before sunrise. The first hour felt like pure magic, a silent walking meditation beneath the first light of day. Around mid-morning, I'd stop for a strong espresso, a bocadillo, or fresh orange juice before continuing the walk, often alone or in meaningful conversation with fellow pilgrims. Lunch offered a pause, a connection. The final stretch brought arrival, rest, and reflection. Evenings were communal and joyful, filled with shared meals, laughter, and stories. By 10 p.m., I'd crawl into my sleeping bag, earplugs in, drifting off into recovery and vivid dreams. It was a deeply fulfilling rhythm. Movement, reflection, nourishment, presence. No clock, no pressure. Always just the next step. I wondered, how could I build such a rhythm into my coaching work? My ideal average week as a coach. I came across the concept of an ideal average day in Rich Litvin's intensive and expanded it, not into a perfect day, though into a balanced week. Like the Camino, it's not about control, it's about rhythm. Back home, I carried that rhythm into my calendar. My ideal Wednesday are mostly green, my color code for energy replenishment. These are my non-negotiables: a forest walk, a sauna session with a colleague, a massage, or a coaching session where I receive coaching myself. These are not luxuries. They are the source of everything I give. They replenish my energy. As Devin Bendison shared in his Game Changer experience, give from the overflow. When I fill my cup first with rest, with beauty, presence, and nourishment, the overflow is what I can offer to others. Inspired by nature's cycles, my coaching week flows with intention across 5 core energy zones, each with its color in my calendar. Green, replenish my energy through rest, receiving, recharging, walk, sauna, coaching for myself, everything that nurtures my energy. Blue, delivery of service, deep transformational client work, paid sessions, fully present, showing up 100% in presence. Red, explore and create. These are unpaid exploratory coaching sessions with potential clients in order to create new clients and to understand if we can work together. Yellow is for connect. It's about nourishing relationships, give and take energy, connect people closer to each other, write messages, or stay in contact with past clients. Orange is create. It's building new ideas, developing new tools, creating new offers, or writing, following what's alive, learning and growing. As in a pilgrimage week, the foundation is green. Energy first, then everything else follows. Giving from a full cup. As I write this, I know tomorrow is fully protected. A green day, a sauna with a colleague. Later this week, I will receive a coaching session. 3 replenishing moments in 1 week. Me time. That's not indulgence. That's by design, by strategy. This rhythm allows me to serve with clarity, coach with depth, and create from joy. It's the same rhythm I encourage my clients to build, especially entrepreneurs, conditions to fill every slot with productivity. I challenge them. Block 2-hour me time slots. Protect them like your most important meeting. Track them as a business key performance indicator. My inner CFO even runs the numbers. Take your annual revenue divided by the number of creative hours you have gifted yourself, and suddenly that becomes the birthplace for your next big move. The $10,000 walk in the woods isn't about return on investment. It's about alignment, insight, and truth. Growth doesn't come from squeezing more in. It comes from stepping out, from reflection, regeneration, and deeper resonance. Let me challenge you with a few reflection questions. Let me invite you to slow down. Open your calendar and ask yourself, if your current calendar is a mirror, what does it reveal about what you truly want and value? What is missing? Who or what are you always available for? And what would shift if you became equally available to your soul, to your deeper self? If you created 1 protected slot of creative space, me time, what would you focus on? And why haven't you made it sacred yet? Miracle Morning, my morning me time. Day number 10, Azofra, Santo Domingo de la Calzada, Rezzilla del Camino, 25 kilometers. I woke up early before the first light and stepped in the cool stillness of the plains. Everything was silent, the world not yet awake. As I walked, the horizon began to glow, the first blush of rose-gold light bathing the landscape behind me. My shadow stretched ahead, long and soft. No rush, no goal, focusing on my breath. Focus on rhythm of the steps. Focus on presence. I found myself humming, light-hearted and spontaneous, carried by a joy that asked for nothing. Even as I passed through a ghost town, a relic of a broken real estate bubble in Spain, the emptiness didn't feel desolate. It felt wide open, like a chapel without walls, a sensation of universal awareness. By the time I reached Santo Domingo de la Calzada, the day had already gifted me a small miracle. My body was alive, my mind quiet, and my soul spacious. Across from the cathedral, I sat for an espresso and a bocadillo, the sunlight warming my shoulders. That cathedral is home to one of the Camino's strangest and most beloved miracle stories. A German pilgrim in the 14th century falsely accused the cooked chickens that stood up and crowed. A tale of innocence, injustice, and improbable grace. And maybe that's the point. Miracles don't always arrive in thunder of light. Sometimes they come quietly. At dawn, with your feet on the path and your heart finally soft enough to feel. That morning reminded me how you start your day shapes everything that follows. Creating your miracle morning, a coaching tool. If you wake up early, the Camino offers a daily opportunity for sacred stillness. I carry the special energy of the quiet morning into my everyday life, beginning with a ritual I call my miracle morning. Most days, I rise around 5:30 to 6 a.m. Before the world calls to me, I take time to return to myself. On the dark days of winter, I light a candle. In spring, I listen to the birds. I sit in silence. Often I meditate. Sometimes I simply listen. Always I tune in. I learned the structure from Hal Elrod's The Miracle Morning. His Savers framework provided a language for something I had already been doing intuitively. S for silence, meditation, breathwork, or prayer, creating stillness before the noise. A for affirmations, speaking truth into the day, grounding in possibility. V for visualization, imagining the energy of a day lived well. E for exercise, movement that wakes the body, even for just a few minutes, stretching. R for reading, a few pages of wisdom, letting someone else's clarity sharpen my focus. S for scribing, journaling, capturing thoughts, feelings, dreams, writing about gratitude. Some days I do all 6. Most days I choose a few. The point isn't perfection, it's presence. Starting the day with intention, filling my cup before I serve anyone else. The miracle isn't what you do, it's in who you become by starting the day with intention. Silent cry for help. The butterflies. Day 11, Santo Domingo de la Calzada, San Juan de Ortega, 24 kilometers. The Camino on the stretch towards San Juan winds through a dry pine forest. The air is still, the paths dusty, and the scent of pine and earth mingles in the afternoon heat. At some point the trail opens onto a white dirt road, and ahead I noticed another pilgrim resting in the shadow of a pine tree. She is barefoot. Her boots are off. As I draw closer, I inquire about her well-being and feel the weight of her journey before she even speaks. I offer her some water, as it appears that her bottle is empty. Pilgrim's wisdom: always carry more water than you need. Someone might need it. Her name is Eleonora from Glasgow. She's walking the Camino to mourn, grieving the passing of her mother. Her feet hurt, the blisters from her boots causing her pain. I sense a silent cry for help, so I offer to walk slowly with her to the next village, which is probably still 2 hours away, under the hot sun with little shade. Some stretches are better walked in company than alone. We walk slowly, our conversation naturally finding its rhythm as the miles pass. She tells me about her mother's final weeks, the quiet moments, the love woven into the hardest goodbyes, and how hard it is for her to find a way forward. I listen with deep empathy, feeling for her, as I have walked a similar path. My memories surface: the loss of my father, the way grief never truly leaves but heals over time. And then the butterflies appear, monarchs, black and orange. One after another they flutter around us, the delicate wings catching the sunlight that dance both chaotic and precise. 2 of them drift closer, circling until finally they land right in front of our feet. We halt, we stop, we breathe. In the stillness, something sacred unfolds. A wave of deep emotion arises in me. Eleonora doesn't know what butterflies mean to me, so I share with her, my voice trembling in agreement with my father. The summer before my father passed, he spent long, sun-soaked days at our family summer home at Lago Maggiore. Despite the pain of his progressing cancer and the stress of the chemotherapy, he still took his Alcazar riverboat out on the lake, still lingered in the garden, still taught his grandsons to water ski, though his hourglass of Chronos was running out. He knew it. We all did. And so we cherished each moment, not knowing which one would be the last. One day, after a beautiful hot summer day in the refreshing coolness of the gorge of Cannobio, we stopped at a cafe for a delicious ice cream and bumped into a small shop, the kind filled with hidden treasures waiting to be discovered. My eyes landed on 2 metal butterflies, one large, one small. On impulse, I bought them. Back at the summer home, I gave my father the larger one and kept the smaller one for myself. One day I told him, "You will be on the other side. And if you ever want to send us a message, send a butterfly." From that moment on, butterflies became more than just creatures of the wind. They became whisperers from beyond, quiet reassurances that love doesn't vanish, it transforms. And every so often, when a butterfly circles near, I stretch out my hand, and sometimes, just sometimes, one lands, usually the monarch's. And standing there with Eleonora on the quiet road in the middle of the Camino, I knew my father was there. Her mother was there. Grief and love, loss and presence, woven together in the silent, sacred flutter of wings. It was the first time I cried on the Camino. Tears of grief, a feeling of loss not yet healed. As my friend George had anticipated, you will cry at least once on the Camino. He has walked it 4 times. Explore his story in the interview section. The emotional release allowed me to walk for a long stretch in reflective silence. I realized I was missing my father, especially in such a phase of uncertainty in life, a transition, not knowing what the future might bring. The inner self-talk rumbled. What shall I do now? Get back into the well-paid corporate world? Start my business? Follow the footsteps of entrepreneurship like my father, who had started a business at 40, or like both of my grandfathers, who had been entrepreneurs? I continued walking and ended the day at the monastery of San Juan de Ortega, emotionally raw, physically tired, and rather thirsty. I was thankful to find one of the last free beds and have a refreshing beer with a few fellow pilgrims sitting at the cafe outside, while Eleonora continued to a hostel she had reserved. After joining the evening mass and having a light dinner, I felt a wave of homesickness wash over me. Maybe it was the emotional intensity of the day, or simply the quiet ache of wanting to share something so meaningful, yet knowing how hard it is to explain an experience like this to someone who hasn't walked it. The call home was brief and little superficial. Words didn't quite land the way I had hoped. Then a small moment stayed with me. A comment from my eldest son, Gabriel, something I later found written in my diary. "Dad, you look happy." And my reply was, "Oh yes, I am." In the photo I had sent, I had started to grow a beard. I looked a bit like a vagabond, weathered, free, softened by the road. And maybe for the first time in a long while, I looked like someone who had let go. The white butterfly, a coaching metaphor. When clients undergo deep transformation, I often bring the butterfly as a guiding image. The shift from caterpillar to butterfly isn't just a change, it's metamorphosis. The caterpillar feeds, eats, and grows until one day it turns inward. It spins itself into a cocoon, and inside something extraordinary begins. The caterpillar dissolves. Its structure completely breaks down into a formless mass. Scientists call this mass imaginal cells. Cells that carry the vision of the butterfly, though at first they are indistinguishable from the old form. Gradually, these cells find each other. They begin to organize, forming wings, a body, and a new being. No one can say exactly when or how this shift happens. It emerges in its own time. One of my clients once arrived in the midst of this in-between. He had let go of a leadership role and couldn't yet see what was coming next. Only that something was ending. In that session, I drew him a white butterfly in the center of the white canvas. Blank, undefined, a symbol of what had not yet emerged. We placed all his questions, fragments, truth, and intentions around it, like nourishment for the next form. That image stayed with him. It gave shape to the unknown without forcing answers too soon. Then comes the cocooning, the withdrawal. That strange moment when nothing feels familiar, and neither the past nor the future. It's disorienting. Yet this phase is sacred. It's where the imaginal cells begin their hidden work. The client and I, we had agreed a 9-month window for his cocooning phase. Eventually, a new shape forms. As in nature, a butterfly cannot simply exit the chrysalis. It must press through the narrow opening. The struggle isn't suffering. It's essential. It creates life. The resistance pushes fluids into the wings, making them strong enough to fly. If someone were to cut the cocoon open to help, the butterfly would never fly. It would die. This is why, in my coaching, I don't rush the process. I give time. I hold space. When clients hit the tension point, the place where the old no longer works and the new isn't ready, I stay present. I dare rescue them. I witness. I say, I trust you. I see you. It may feel painful. It may feel endless. This is where strength is required. This is where the wings form. And when they do emerge, when they show themselves in their full, vibrant truth, I am in awe. Every time. Their colors are their own, unmistakable, irreplaceable. This is why I bring the butterfly into my coaching. Because true transformation isn't about fixing or changing. It's about becoming, emerging. And becoming takes surrender, patience, and the courage to emerge in your own time. No rush. Be patient. Let me summarize. Practical pilgrim's reflection, a metaphor breakdown in different phases, the butterfly. Caterpillar means growth. Cocoon means dissolution, reflection, inner growth. The imaginal cells stand for the identity shift. Emergence, struggle creates strength, and flight is the authentic living. Reflection questions. Let me invite you to reflect on the white butterfly. What might your white butterfly be holding for you, just waiting to unfold, never spoken out yet? Who do you know that might benefit from reading about the white butterfly and its metamorphosis? Treasure hidden in plain sight. A coin from 1654. Day 12. San Juan de la Ortega, Atapuerca Hills, Burgos, 26 kilometers. I had spent the night in the monastery of San Juan, one of those 60-bed dormitories, filthy, loud, and definitely not on my list of highly recommended hostels. I woke early, stirred by the symphony of snoring, the rustling of plastic bags, and my bed neighbor shining his headlamp straight into my face. Definitely in addition to the bad pilgrims list. See later in the book. Rather than trying to fall back asleep, I packaged my things and left that unpleasant place in the first light of dawn. The clear, misty morning air greeted me outside. As I walked, I was rewarded with a beautiful sunrise. I stood inside a man-made spiral of stones, watching the sun rise between two majestic trees. A magical moment just for me. I felt deep joy and bliss. How lucky am I to experience this? Later that morning, I had another lucky moment. Probably the most powerful message from the path, or should I say past, on my journey. I was about to climb the Atapuerca Hills, passing near the famous caves known for their prehistoric drawings. Sweat dripping under the midday sun when my phone rang. It was my former HR business partner, calling to finalize the settlement agreements. As I stepped aside to take the call, my foot struck something metallic. The distinct sound stopped me. I bent down and picked it up. It looked like a bottle cap at first. Once I rubbed it clean, I saw the number 1654. Had I just found an old copper coin? I smiled. Mercury, the god of merchants and travelers, must have sent a message. Watch the path, and the wisdom will reveal itself. Later that day, I met Bob, the entrepreneur from Texas, at a cafe. I showed him the small treasure, the light grayish coin. My numbers mind did a quick trick, adding 2 zeros to the year of the coinage. The number roughly matched the settlement offer I had just received. It hit me. Not only had I found a coin, but I had received seed money, enough to start something new. Later in Burgos Museum, I discovered the coin was an 8 maravedis from 1654, issues under the King Philippe IV. Its numismatic value may be around 10 euros or $10. I still carry that coin today in my wallet as a reminder to stay open to the unexpected gifts along the way. I wonder where else in my life I have treasures hidden in plain sight. Physical exhaustion and rest. Day number 13, Burgos Rest Day. The physical demands on the Camino taught me a vital lesson about balancing exertion with rest. I was surprised by my body's ability to walk long distances. On many days, I walked for 10 hours, amazed by what my body could endure. Though I felt the pain the next day, I also realized that I was stronger than I had believed. When real pain set in and my body ached, I could hear my inner whining voices grow louder. Exhaustion amplifies internal negativity. The inner commentary turns more critical and more complaining. Today, when entrepreneurs or CEOs express frustration during coaching sessions, I often ask, When was the last time you physically exhausted yourself? When did you last stretch your body, go for a run, swim, or take a long walk? Many are so immersed in their businesses that they forget their bodies even have this capacity. I encourage them to stretch physically again, engage in movement, test their limits. This practice changes how they view challenges in other areas of life. When we move our bodies, we expand our perspective. Rest day is a training day. Most people don't plan for rest. On the Camino, I allowed myself a rest day about once a week. I treated it as a training day, an approach I later heard echoed by Matt Chaklovich, a former professional goalkeeper and business coach, who led my small group during Rich Litvín's intensive. In larger cities, I'd book an Airbnb instead of staying in a hostel and remain for 2 nights. On these 0 days, I didn't wear my hiking boots, just sneakers to explore at a gentler pace. I gave my body time to heal, relax. I always booked a massage to release the tension in my legs and feet, painful but deeply releasing. These rest periods became beautiful opportunities to reset. When I work with ambitious entrepreneurs constantly operating at a high speed, I often invite them to examine their calendars. What do your rest days look like? How do you train around your rest? The price of entrepreneurship can be burning the candle at both ends. The challenge for leaders is to create space to recenter, recalibrate, and recreate their lives from a place of alignment. When was the last time you honored rest, not as absence, but as preparation for your next expansion?